playing. Today is a different kind of video than what I am used to doing. I just underwent a hysterectomy. So I want to share my recovery process to those of you ladies who may be getting ready to go through the process or thinking about it. So this is day one of my hysterectomy recovery process. So I just want to give you a little background. Yes, I'm keeping it very real today, bonnet, glasses, and all, because it's nothing glamorous at all about the recuperation period of a hysterectomy. First, I just want to let you know the reason that I had to have one. I had fibroids, and I've had fibroids since about 2007. I found out the pregnancy of my first child, and it wasn't really an issue until after I had my second son, 2 years after that. I started noticing heavier flows, and then the periods start to last longer and longer every month, and I wasn't with it. But it took a long time. Gosh, it has to be about 11 years later before I actually went through with the hysterectomy. The first procedure that I had done was a UFE, which is a uterine fibroid embolization. It was performed by a radiologist. What they do is they create a tiny little incision in your groin area, and they go in and they shoot some dye capsules there to obstruct the blood supply of the fibroids. And that helped somewhat. It slowed my flow down, it lightened it up. But my cycles were still, they were regular. They came on every month, but they were irregular because, sometimes they would stay on a week. Sometimes I would go 2 days with no flow, and then I would start flowing again. So it was crazy. And the one time I had to leave work with my jacket wrapped around my waist, I was pretty much over it at that point. So I started to look into, surgery. So this, I just had my surgery yesterday. I stayed overnight at the hospital, and I'm back home. And I had the robotic laparoscopic, however you say that, surgery. And I have 4 incisions in my stomach, tiny ones again, and they're stapled up. I'll show you the pictures of how the staples look. I'll have those taken out in, let's see, what is today? In 3 more days. I go back to the doctor's office and she's going to take those out. But I just want to let you know what it feels like. My first word out of post-op, right out of post-op, the nurse was talking to me and I was groggy with the medicine, and I was like, pain, pain. Is all I could say because I was in pain. And so they start giving me an IV. I believe it was Dilaudid. It was my best friend. And so I felt a lot of pain. They took me to the recovery room where I stayed overnight and just kept, doping me up. I had my little pain pump. You can get some of that every 10 minutes. You can't overdose yourself. And they gave me some, other medicines, fluids and everything. But my stomach felt sore. When I had the medicine, I was good. So I got that around the clock. They also do a catheter that was inserted after I had fallen asleep in the OR. And the urologist came in and inserted the stents, which lit up. And the point of doing that was so that my doctor didn't accidentally cut into, I guess, the urethra, whatever tubes those were. So it worked, and he said he's been doing it for 17 years and they've never once cut into the tubes with the light up stents in them. So that's something you can ask your doctor about. Let's see what else. So I was over the catheter, I think, gosh, the same day. After a few hours, I was like, let's take this puppy out, because it constantly felt like I had to pee. And they was like, oh, that's the catheter. And I was like, well, let's take this out. And then when I went to the bathroom, it felt like my bladder wasn't emptying all the way. And after they took the stents out, not the stents, but the catheter, the stents came out. I think they took those out immediately afterwards. But after they took the catheter out, I did feel a little bit more relief, going to the bathroom to urinate. But I'm one day into the recovery, and I still feel like I have to pee like every 10 minutes. And sometimes I might sit on the toilet for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, maybe more, just, waiting for a trickle. Sometimes it trickles and sometimes it flows. I don't know, why. But, so they want you to pass gas before you leave the hospital. But I hadn't eaten anything since midnight, like the day before the surgery. So I'm thinking, like, how am I gonna pass gas when there's nothing on my stomach? And then after I had the procedure, they limited me to clear fluids. I could have chicken broth, I could have juice, clear things like that, even Jello. But I'm like, how in the world am I gonna pass gas when there's nothing in there? So I lied, and I was like, yeah, I passed gas. And I had already eaten Grandy's breakfast, and then the doctor came in and, she was getting ready to release me, and she asked me had I passed gas. I said, yeah, sure. And then she, she said, well, you can have solid foods now. Well, but after I had the solid food, I would say maybe a couple hours later, I did pass gas. So I think that just proves my theory was correct. But I'm home now, and I'm doing okay. I'm keeping on my pain meds, keeping hydrated. I've been drinking on my homemade juice, has juices and vegetables, fruits and vegetables that I blended up in my Vitamix blender. And when I take that stuff, the bowels will move. So I still haven't had one yet, but I think it's just going to be a matter of time. And is there anything else I want to share with you guys for day one? One thing I did start feeling my stomach start feeling like it was already feeling bloated, but it feels like it was tightening up, and that wasn't a good feeling. So I'm just in bed. I've been laying in bed, but I had to put a heating pad. I have an electric heating pad, and that's one thing that I did use in the hospital. So ask your doctor, or your nurse, I should say, for a heating pad. It helps to put over the site on top of your clothes. But I had this strange feeling here in the shoulder, and I couldn't understand why in the world was my shoulder hurting when I had the procedure on my stomach. So the nurse said that it was gas trapped in my shoulder. I was like, okay. But the doctor said the same thing, because what they did was they put a tube down my throat, and they pumped my stomach with some CO2 gas to, I guess, expand it so they can see better what they were doing during the procedure. And she says the body will reabsorb that, but my shoulder was feeling real like achy, like I needed a massage. So I was, alternating the heating pad between my shoulder and my stomach. And so coming home, I just have been doing the same thing pretty much. So I would say that's all for day one. They did take the bandages off of my staples before I left the hospital. I go back in a couple days, and they're going to put steri strips on those, the little tiny white band-aids. So if you have any questions, any comments, feel free to leave them below. and check back in with me for my day 2 progress. Thanks, ladies.